Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 28, 2025 Altamont Zoning Board of Appeals. First and foremost, I want to point out, in case of an emergency, we have exits to your left and to your right. To our left, forward advance, should we need them, okay? At this time, would everybody please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, time now is 7:02. And I want everybody to introduce themselves. Can we start on our left, Chuck?
Charles Trout.
Lori Penzi.
Simon Litton.
Danny Ramirez.
Hyde Clark. James Sullivan.
Bob Freeman.
Thank you. Today we have on the agenda an extension request for CM Fox Living Solutions, LLC, Troy Miller, for a major subdivision. The property at SBL 37.14-3-6.1, and status update on the resolution conditions provided by the applicant.
If I could just give a quick introduction before we ask the applicant's engineer to come up. This preliminary approval was approved in July. That initial approval was good for 6 months. This board does have the ability to grant 2 90-day extensions of that preliminary approval. Given the amount of work that's been done on this project to address a number of the conditions, I think the 90-day extension would be appropriate, but we will hear from the applicant's engineer as to the status of each condition from our approval. Once all the conditions are met, then this will be back on the agenda for a final approval. So just wanted to give that context to the board before we have the applicant come up.
Okay. So, Ro, would you be so kind?
Hello, board. Long time no see. My name is Ro Andres, project manager for Walrath Surveying. Hyde, thank you for the introduction. Tonight, I would like to start with the letter that was distributed by Block, Longo, Lamarca, and Brzezinski. And this is a follow-up to the final resolution comments that were given to us back in July, the last meeting. Item A on the letter, the dredging, we have been notified that the dredging is done through the corridor on Western Harry Plank Road. The additional screening items that were requested can be found on page C130 of the latest plan set that was submitted to you folks January 13th, I believe. The design standards, I know there were a few comments from the TDE in regards to the final subdivision plat, page C110, that being the, it's really some notes that were needed to be present on the plans. Those have been added and can be found on page C110. The item D, parks and playgrounds. And if the village could confirm, I know the discussion is ongoing on how to approach this item. And I was told that, again, discussions are still ongoing as to.
I believe there was an agreement there that there was funding that was going to be divided between the sidewalks and playground maintenance.
Yeah, so we've got the 2 conditions, D being the parks and playgrounds and E being the voluntary contribution to the sidewalk fund, which this board kind of did a pro rata on each one, what was going into each one.
Right.
So, right now, the question, which is not necessarily this board's, question to answer, is just the timing of when that money is set aside. And so that will just have to be agreed upon prior to final approval.
Okay, okay.
So that would be, and these letters follow the conditions from the approval that this board issued. So just a note, the letters correspond to each condition.
Yes, thank you for that.
Does the dating in that mean when a check from the applicant is deposited with the village? Is that the date that he's looking at?
Yeah, just trying to determine, does that money have to be set aside prior to this board signing on the final plat? Or is it more
Does set
appropriate-
aside mean
Yeah.
that the village
Deposited,
has a
yeah,
check?
Deposited,
All right.
money deposited, yep, sorry.
Thank you. Let's see, item G, the performance escrow. The bond has been approved, and we believe that the issuance will be within the next few days for that item.
That was for F, just to clarify.
For F, thank you. Yes, and G, again, I believe the same as D is still in discussion with the village. Hyde, can you confirm that?
Yeah, so letter G is the performance escrow, which is different from the improvements to be completed or bond filed. So, just to backtrack to F for a minute, the applicant did provide estimates on work that will not be completed prior to the final plat approval. So that is what was reviewed by the village designated engineer as to whether or not an appropriate amount was set forth for improvements to be covered by the bond. The performance escrow, which is letter G, has more to do not with common infrastructure, but with making sure that everything is installed and complete, which I think would be more appropriate at building permit phase. But we'll have to, I'll confer with the attorney and engineers as to timing of that amount and how we're gonna set
Okay.
the actual value. Because I've not seen an estimate. We really need an estimate similar to the estimate that was provided for improvements not to be completed. I think we would need a estimate as to what amount we think needs to be set aside to make sure everything else is constructed per the
And
plans.
performing correctly, okay.
And then we would have that reviewed by the village engineer, and he would provide comment as to whether or not that's adequate.
So we come up with a number, it says a TBD by the ZBA.
So the applicant has to tell us what the suggested amount is, and then our engineer has to decide whether or not that's sufficient. And then the ZBA would either agree with our engineer, likely defer to our engineer.
Okay, so we don't
You're
have
not gonna
to
come up with an
argue
amount,
about
yeah.
it and come up with a
Yeah.
number.
No.
No, we would rely on the consultant.
All right, so the village engineer determines it, and we just approve it.
Correct,
Okay.
yep,
Maybe that wording's a little,
Yeah.
is a little unclear to me.
yeah.
We can revise that. Let's see, letter H, lot line adjustments. I know that was an item that we spoke about in June. The detail has made its way onto the subdivision plat C-110, as well as descriptions of the land transfers, the lot line amendments for each of the 3 lots that we proposed. Item I, the maintenance agreements are prepared. Those documents will be provided to the ZBA by the end of this week. So please look for them digitally, and we can drop off physical copies as well.
The lot line adjustment documents and maintenance agreements can really be attorney to attorney to start, and then once final, just need to be submitted prior to the next application deadline,
Okay,
which would be for February, application deadline for February meeting.
So it's 2 weeks before, so that meeting would be, February. So February 25th, so 2 weeks before that would be, I think, the 11th.
Okay. Yeah, so just a note that George would have to provide those to our office, and then we'll make sure finals are submitted prior to that submission date.
okay. Let's see, item J, something that was a larger hurdle than we anticipated, has been resolved, and that information has made its way again onto sheet C110, the subdivision plat. That's the street addresses for all the proposed homes within this subdivision. K, the attorney has reached out to the village in regards to the escrow. I don't know if we'll have an answer tonight, but maybe that's something we can discuss later within the week. Yes.
So George Slingerland just sent an email like 4 o'clock today, asking if there were any outstanding invoices. So I forwarded that to Ellison and Hyde, and also to Brett Grant, to see if there's any other money, invoices coming in that would need to be
Okay.
addressed.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so I think, we'll rely on the village clerk treasurer who administers that account.
Okay,
And then just prior to final approval, we'll make sure that, Young Summer has submitted all invoices, and same for engineering.
Okay.
Make that determination, so that's kind of more of just, before we do the final sign, we'll make sure everything's squared away.
check all the bases. Okay, thank you, Ginger. Item L, sewer connections. Detail has been added to sheet C 501 of the revised plan set. Item M, the grading inspection. We added a note. We were under the belief that this was something that we were going to tackle again on the building permit process, but the verbiage has been added to sheet C110. Note 9. And item N, the permits and approvals. I know that is being coordinated with the village, and we are fully prepared to provide you folks with whatever else you would need to take care of item N.
Well, just a note on N, that's more of just a continuing requirement. It's not something that's necessarily going to be fully satisfied prior to final sign-off. It's just a continuing, we shall understand if you're going to the county health department, any approvals needed as you get towards building permit, just coordinating all that with the village.
Okay,
So that's more of an ongoing
okay.
requirement.
Let's see. So that covers the letter from the attorney in regards to the final resolution. There was also, along with the plan set that was revised, there was a comment letter from us that outlines all the items that were noted by the village designated engineer. Those have also all been met. I'm not sure if he's reviewed them yet, but they've all been addressed and on the new set of plans.
So I think at this stage for the board, welcome to ask any follow-up questions of the applicant as to any of the conditions. I am in contact with applicant's attorney on the outstanding issues with the deeds as well as the maintenance agreements. We'll also follow up and coordinate with Brad on the performance escrow, but certainly board's welcome to ask any follow-up questions and/or offer a resolution to grant or
So the outstanding items, D and G, I think were the main ones. Those need to be satisfied by, and we would need documentation by the 11th in order for final approval to occur at the next meeting.
So I think on D and E, which are the deposits for parks and playgrounds,
Yeah,
we would either need those funds deposited or an agreement that they'll be deposited prior to building permit being issued. So we'll just have to clear that up, and that's something in the attorney review that will get satisfied one way or the other. I think the main things, again, appear to be more on the legal side. I think the engineering comments have been addressed, and I think Brad has sent an email to that effect. So, yeah, we're really kind of down to timing on conditions and legal review for some of the conditions.
okay. I just want to make sure that there wasn't any ambiguity from their end, so they're not walking in to the meeting in February missing something.
Thank you.
Now,
And I don't know, people that were on the board before, like Simon and James and Robert can remember this, but for the Bozenkill subdivision, I think that the sidewalk fund was an escrow that had to be paid up front, and then the parks and playgrounds were the building permit. But we could take a look back for that. Do you guys remember that? I'm pretty sure that's where we did it. Danny, do you-
I'm going to date myself and say probably if you look at the minutes of October, if not November, there was conversation regarding the amount of money. I don't want to quote any numbers. And we just had to come up with whatever, call it percentages, what was going to go to an escrow account to parks maintenance, as opposed to putting in a park, as well as sidewalk, wherever the, account.
Yeah, there were, the amounts are in the minutes.
Yeah.
And so, but it seems like this is just timing on when those get paid. So I was just letting you know that I believe that that's how we handled the Bozenkill subdivision, so it might be something you want to consider for this as well.
Yeah, we'll take a look. And the Bozenkill sidewalk may have been a mandatory deposit, whereas this is a voluntary contribution, which we'll also have to weigh, I think. But we'll look at past practice for the village.
Thank you.
My question was, does CM Fox, Troy Miller have to submit contractual obligations to you regarding the lot line adjustments, et cetera?
Yeah, so that's the deeds that were prepared, and we'll review that, and those will have to be recorded as part of the approval. So we have not seen those yet, but that is to be provided to legal.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions, any board members? Okay. So at this point in time, members of the board, we just have to consider an extension, 90-day extension on this application. This will be the first one. I think they have 2 opportunities for that. But nonetheless, you want to take a roll call on that?
Well, we need a motion.
Oh,
Motion to propose a resolution to approve the extension?
A 90-day extension of the preliminary approval.
I'll second.
And that, Bob, you seconded?
Yes.
All right, so, Board Member Trout,
In favor?
Board Member Penn,
In favor.
Board Member Lennon,
In favor.
Board Member Sullivan,
In favor?
Board Member Freeman,
In favor.
and Chairperson Ramirez.
in favor. But Ro, you said you have pretty much all that ready to go.
Yes.
Not too soon.
That's right.
But if there's something that somebody's missing, or the attorney, February 11th to be put on the agenda.
Okay.
February, okay?
Okay. Thank you, Board.
No, thank you. Review and approval of the minutes from the Zoning Board of Appeals, meeting November 26th. Anybody have any questions, changes that?
This is not a correction, but I wondered what a density control schedule is. I'm not,
Where are you looking?
page 5.
5?
Yeah.
And who's speaking there? No.
Oh, who's speaking? Don Cropsey.
His first statement at the top of the page.
Okay.
I think it was in reference to something in the village code.
Yeah, so what does density control schedule mean? Is that part of like a
We're just-
zoning?
Yeah, more to
Yeah.
bulk area standards, so based on proposed use or zoning district, there is certain allowable size of the building, setbacks, parking spaces, all of those.
And it's in the zoning code?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Not hearing anything, entertain a motion to approve the minutes from November 26th, 2024. Wait, here's,
I'll make that motion.
okay,
I'll
do I hear a second?
Second it.
Okay, so Board Member Trout,
In favor?
Board Member King,
In favor?
Board Member Litton,
In favor.
Board Member Sullivan,
In favor?
Board Member Freeman,
In favor?
Chairperson O'Meara.
In favor. Is there any other business that anybody's thinking about village-wise? Okay, then consider a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved?
Second?
I'm sorry, that was James and then Robert?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so Board Member Trout,
In favor?
Board Member King,
In favor?
Board Member Litton,
In favor.
Board Member Sullivan,
In favor?
Board Member Freeman,
In favor?
Chairperson O'Meara.
In favor.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Well,
I'm sorry.
hey, what about my DWG files?